Does anyone even like Despicable Me 4? Despicable Me is not only a silly, goofy film franchise loved by millions, but it's also just like super duper successful. Ironically, despite being the franchise's lowest earning box office, the very first Despicable Me movie tends to be the fan favorite. Despicable Me 2 is a close second due to its memorable villain, and the third is, well, it's a movie. I'll give it that. But the thing that most Despicable Me fans seem to agree with is that the latest installment, Despicable Me 4, is kind of hot garbage. Like, people really hate this one. They want to straight up erase it from history. But listen, I'll be fair and admit that I've received a couple comments lately saying that the fourth movie is actually their favorite. Obviously, that's an unpopular opinion, and was probably just a typo, but in an attempt to give this thing a fair shot, I'll be doing what I usually do, which is watching and recapping the entire Despicable Me 4 movie in full to see if it's really that bad. In the last couple months, I've watched every single Despicable Me and Minions movie on this channel in preparation for this. I'm pretty sure I've developed some sort of insomnia, because every time I close my eyes now, all I see is a Minion jump scare. But regardless of if it's the worst in the franchise, I also want to find out if this movie is just kind of bad on its own. So grab your copy of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch. This will make sense really soon, I promise. And without further ado, let's watch what may very well be the worst in the franchise, Despicable Me 4. Our adventure begins with a minute-long credit sequence where Gru is playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in real life. Told you it would make sense. He's going really, really fast. We even get some first-person action. It really makes you feel like a despicable person. At the end of Gru's drive, we see him arrive at a place called Lycée Pas Bon, which ends up being a high school for villains that Gru attended back in the day. Also, it literally translates to not good high school. They probably meant not good as in evil, but I like to imagine it's a joke on the education system, and they're just saying that this school really sucks. Gru gets out of the car, and we see some minions following closely behind. Of course we do. We can't go 5 minutes without these guys or else Illumination stock plummets. Turns out this is actually a high school reunion, so it's filled to the brim with evil villains and high-profile criminals. Gru immediately locks in because there's a reason for him being there, while the minions remind us that they're all idiots. Ooh, this isn't gonna end well. And there it is. And they're eating him now. How wonderful. Following Gru, we see him bump into an old high school rival named Maxime Le Mal. This guy is French, and his last name basically translates to the bad. Who's naming these characters, by the way? This is J.K. Rowling levels of character naming. This guy is accompanied by his girlfriend named Valentina. Her thing is that she has a puppy, I guess, and basically just laughs at nothing all the time. Trust me, you'll see. These two are voiced by Will Ferrell and Sofia Vergara, respectively. I personally find this to be an extremely interesting casting decision, since these two are both pretty famous actors, but one of them puts on an unrecognizable French accent the whole time, while the other one has like 3 lines in the entire movie. And they don't do a bad job or anything. I just think it's weird that sequels in animation always do this. They always pay extra to get these huge names involved, like it's an infinite money glitch or something. Like, it doesn't even sound like Will Ferrell to me. I don't know.
They go poof poof, huh?
Anyway, there's this old lady in a wheelchair, and she's announcing the winner of some villain award or something. Maxime ends up winning the award, and Gru gets kind of annoyed by it. I would tread lightly, Maxime. This dude straight up punched a shark in the face one time. Maxime is making some acceptance speech, which is when he reveals his love for cockroaches. I'm not kidding. He not only keeps one in his jacket, but I guess the twist here is that Maxime is a cockroach himself. What? His jacket rips open, and he has this weird roach body and starts flying. At first, I thought this was just like a suit he had on or something, because like, why would this guy be part insect? But I'm pretty sure this guy actually has the body of a bug. It's kind of weird. But then, in an actual good plot twist that everyone already saw coming, Gru reveals that he's actually a good guy now and attempts to arrest Maxime in front of everyone. The AVL swoop in and provides backup, and after an epic fight and some cool camera work, Maxime loses and gets tied up to be sent to maximum security prison. Surely he would never escape. It is maximum security after all.
I will exterminate you!
Get it? Because he's a bug. But aren't bugs the ones that get exterminated? My brain hurts, dude. I do want to mention that Maxime is seemingly the only person here who gets arrested, despite the room being filled with other villains. But this movie obviously doesn't care about a valid question like that, so I won't either. This is when we get the epic title card, followed by Gru arriving at his house, which kicks off the biggest change in the franchise probably ever. Seriously, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll probably end up being really, really surprised by this. But wait, what's this? The minions are getting a call from today's sponsor. Fragrances have this incredible power. They can boost your confidence, make memories unforgettable, and even start conversations. Personally, I always found that the right scent can set the perfect tone for any occasion. Whether it's a date night or just a day out with friends, picking the right fragrance is like adding a final touch to your outfit. It just kind of completes the vibe. Speaking of fragrances, I've recently been exploring some amazing scents from Scentbird. All right, let me show you what I got here. We got Vanilla Nomad by Santa Jardin, Oro Verde by House of Beau, I hope I'm saying that right, Good Habit by Rise, and even a fragrance by Pink Mahogany called Sexuality. Hey, listen, man. I'm not judging. But this is why I'm happy to be a Scentbird ambassador. Lately, I've been rocking with the vanilla, nomad, and oro verd myself, whereas my girlfriend actually chose good habit and sexuality, because of course she did. Mine have more of a vanilla, tree moss, sandalwood smell, while hers are more fruity like strawberry, raspberry, and even coconut. I've never really explored the world of fragrance before this, so I can easily say this is the best I've ever smelled. Smelled? I smell great, is what I'm saying. What I love about Scentbird is the flexibility to switch up your fragrance every month without committing to a full bottle. With over 700 fragrances available, including brands like Prada and Versace, you'll get to explore and discover new favorites effortlessly. Plus, the pricing is super affordable compared to buying full-sized bottles. For only $8, you get to try your first fragrance from Scentbird, and your next month will only be $16.95. And let's not forget the convenience of these things. The sleek, travel-friendly vials are perfect for slipping into your bag or pocket. Whether you're a fragrance enthusiast or just starting to build your collection, Scentbird makes it easy and affordable to indulge in scents that suit your style. And here's the best part. If you're curious to try Scentbird yourself, I've got a special offer for you. Scan my QR code or use code Darzii to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. That's just $8 to start exploring scents that speak to you. Remember, scan my QR code and use my code Darzii. Thank you, Scentbird, for sponsoring today's video. So Gru arrives home and we see the whole family is here. We got Edith, Margot, and Agnes, or how he likes to call them, his girls. My throat hurts after that. His girls. We still have the pet goat that Agnes might still think is a unicorn despite not farting out rainbows. And we also get Lucy, who's not only Gru's wife, but get this, and I'm not kidding, is also the mother of their first biological child. Yep, out of nowhere, and with no warning whatsoever, it's revealed that Gru and Lucy have a child now. Like, they actually made this one themselves. I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea this was gonna be a thing. I'm not sure if the trailers for this movie showed the baby at all, but honestly, I was like super surprised by this.
This guy.
What? Is that a joke? They have a baby? What? Oh, and it has Gru's nose. Poor child. The baby's name is Gru Jr., which I think is weird, since now the full name of this baby is Gru? Or is his first name actually not Gru, like his dad? Why is this so complicated? Gru is doing his best to just be a dad, but it's clear that the baby isn't having any of it. He probably just wants to play Roblox on the iPad or something. The baby goes number 2 right there and then, so the minions come in and change him like a NASCAR pit stop. Honestly, this is kind of funny, not gonna lie. After the last movie that I covered, the minions kind of grew on me a little bit. Get it? Grew on me? That's funny. So because this is an Illumination movie, we get to cross off the first thing on our Despicable Me checklist, that being a visible butt on screen. They always do this, check the tapes. This is when the doorbell rings and we see the most goated character in all of fiction, Silas Ramsbottom. I love this man, I will never forget his name. He comes in the house and shows Gru and Lucy a video of Maxime from prison saying that he's gonna get revenge or something. You'll never see this coming, but turns out Maxime already escaped the maximum security prison. It's been like, what, 3 hours maybe? How does that even happen? We're never actually gonna figure out how it happens because it happens off screen. How epic. So because this cockroach man is a real threat, apparently, the AVL decide to do Gru and his family a favor by moving them into a rich suburban neighborhood and changing their identities entirely. At least until they catch Maxime. The girls obviously take the news pretty rough since it's never easy moving around as a child. We also find out that the goat, dog, and all the minions have to stay behind because it's too high risk or something.
No one can know of your whereabouts, not even family.
Bingo, there's your silver lining.
That's actually a funny joke. He's just an introvert, man. I love it. The family arrives at their new home, and I guess it isn't exactly what they were expecting. It's a little more like an office space than a home, but it's a big place. Okay, you'll get used to it. Also, I guess the minions were allowed to go with them. There's like 3 minions tagging along for some reason. Wasn't Gru a famous villain at one point? Wouldn't the weird yellow dudes that follow him around like Pokemon reveal his identity? Also, there's a bunch of stuff around this house that's branded with the AVL logo. Kind of a weird detail to add considering the family is supposed to be undercover, but whatever. There's a vending machine at the entrance also, and one of the minions gets stuck inside it. Is that the same one that got stuck in the jello? This dude cannot catch a break. All things considered, Gru and Lucy are actually pretty excited by everything because it means they can all spend time as an actual family for once. Gru is given the cover of being a solar panel salesman, and Lucy is now a hairdresser. This kind of makes absolutely no sense at all, but I'll explain why when we get there. Meanwhile, during all this, we go underground where we see Maxime and his girlfriend celebrating with a bunch of cockroaches. I'm not sure if Maxime controls all these bugs with his mind or something, or if they all just really like this guy for some reason. Believe it or not, the army of cockroaches plays very little to no part in this movie at all. You'd think it'd be important. It's not. Maxime gives another speech to his bugs, this time about how he really hates Gru and wants to get revenge. Again, very surface level stuff from this guy. He looks like some TikTok rich kid, and his personality so far basically boils down to, I'm very mad right now. What is crazy is that Maxime's plan to get revenge on Gru is actually to kidnap his youngest born baby, Gru Jr. These movies always have some abnormally dark scene or idea for some reason. So with that, we can now cross off the second thing on our Despicable Me checklist. Oh my god, I'm witnessing a murder right now on my screen. Back to the family, Gru is tasked with taking Margot to her new school while also keeping watch on Gru Jr. all day. On the way out, there's this weird interaction with the neighbor. Gru's trying to be friends, but this dude just doesn't want to talk to him. He'd probably mute him IRL if he could. The only thing of importance to note is that the neighbor has a daughter named Poppy. She's around Margot's age and completely glued to her phone. She's probably viciously retweeting every cat video she finds on Twitter. But a little later, and Gru is dropping Margot off, and this scene is played off like some dramatic moment about anxiety and adolescence and all that, but I don't think we ever see Margot's point of view at school ever in this movie, so like, who knows how it goes? Not me. During this, we find Lucy is tasked with taking care of Edith and Agnes. There's this whole story about how Lucy needs to attend her hair salon job, so she enrolls the kids in karate lessons, kind of as a replacement for babysitting. This honestly makes like zero sense at all. One, why does Lucy need to leave her children at a public karate dojo? Can't the AVL provide a babysitter or something? Two, why does Lucy need to actually go to her job while Gru just gets to pretend he's a salesman and spend all day with his kid? They're just staying undercover until Maxime gets caught again. Surely they can both stay home. And three, even if she does work a real job, why does she work for someone else? Why wouldn't the AVL provide her with her own shop like in the second movie so she can have more control on what she can and can't do? It's super weird. I'm confused. Anyway, the short answer is Lucy fails miserably at anything resembling hairstyling. She even burns all of the women's hair off, and Agnes gets bullied by the karate instructor, so Edith crushes his foot and he just dies. Also during this time, we skip over to all the other minions. I guess the anti-villain league is taking care of them in the meantime. They're all training to become special agents or something, which sounds cool, but by the end of this long montage, Silas comes out and is like, all right, boys, I know everyone's been training, but we only need 5 of you. So 5 random minions get chosen, and then they're forcefully put into these futuristic chambers. And when they come out, wouldn't you know it, they all have superpowers. One of them is super strong, another has laser eyes, insert a Homelander meme here. The third one is very stretchy, the fourth one is also very strong, but he eats a lot and is indestructible, I guess. And the last one can fly. Together, this group forms what's called the Mega Minions. That's Mega Minions with an M. Just wanted to clear that up. The point of this is just for them to be superheroes, I guess. The AVL makes them go on a bunch of missions to see how well they can save people. They definitely now all have the physical ability, but sadly, every minion has the intellect of a raging turkey, so they all basically fail their trial exam. This scene honestly goes on for way too long, so while it's playing in the background, let me talk about some things I noticed, I guess. This one guy's whole thing is that he's indestructible, but literally every minion is already indestructible. That's kind of their thing. There's the classic Spider-Man train scene moment that plays out, which I thought was cool. Just wanted to mention it. I find it kind of weird how this universe now has magic inside it, essentially. Like, this show's always been kind of far-fetched, but it's always been tech-related, usually. But with this movie and the last Minions movie, there's just straight-up magic transformations and superpowers, which I think is a little weird. Not to mention the villain has the body of a bug, which is odd. I don't know. Anyway, back to Maxime now, and he's still underground. He reveals a giant cockroach mech thing. All the cockroaches cheer him on, and then he and his girlfriend fly off into the distance to go attack Gru. This is when we find out the only bit of backstory on Maxime, which is a missed opportunity, in my opinion. We find out that when Maxime and Gru went to high school together, there was some sort of talent show going on, and Maxime was getting ready to sing a rendition of Karma Chameleon by Culture Club. But sadly, Gru went on just before him and sang the exact same song, thus stealing his spotlight, so to speak. After the story is told, he also turned some gas station clerk into a roach, which is the first evil thing he's done in this entire movie. So meanwhile, Lucy runs into that woman who she completely botched the haircut for. None of this actually matters or goes anywhere. It just acts as padding for the movie, and I'm just mentioning it now to prove my point. This scene goes on for way too long. She like runs away or something. It's funny. Back to Gru, and he's trying to relax for a bit and enjoy his coffee, but Gru Jr. is kind of a demon child, so that's just not possible. Later that night, after the minions pull some pranks on each other, Gru is taking out the trash when he's confronted by Poppy, the neighbor. This is meant to be like a big moment in the story, I think. Turns out this is the only instance where being addicted to your phone actually helps. Poppy, who reads a bunch of news headlines apparently, has found out who Gru actually is. She knows that he stole the moon at one point and that he's a well-respected villain. She also blesses us with probably the worst bit of dialogue in the entire movie.
I don't respect boomers. I just mock them.
Oof. That hurt. That was rough. I did not like that. I'm gonna need a quick revive after that one.
Boomers.
So like I said, Poppy knows all about Gru, so she confronts him and lets him know that she wants to pull off some sort of heist and needs his help to do it. And Gru doesn't really have a choice, because if he doesn't help Poppy, then she's just gonna let everyone know who he really is. Again, the AVL moved him here, so I'm not sure why they can't just move him again once he got compromised, but I guess no one really cares. The next day now, and we see Poppy in her treehouse playing Dance Dance Revolution to the song Through the Fire and Flames. If you're like me, you know this song from Guitar Hero 3, so this is actually pretty hype. All right, I love this game. Let's do it. This is when Gru shows up and enters the treehouse. Poppy has a real conversation with him, and we find out that she wants to be a villain. So her big plan and reason for blackmailing Gru here is to enter the high school Gru was in at the very beginning of the movie and to steal the school's mascot. The mascot's name is Lenny, and he's an actual honey badger. I don't know much about these animals, but I'm pretty sure they can get kind of aggressive. So Gru and Poppy make their way to the school just like that. They break in, which is already a serious offense, to be honest. And after some shenanigans with the baby who they brought for some reason, they find Lenny the honey badger sleeping in a cage. Gru Jr. opens the cage, which makes Lenny attack. Gru accidentally injects himself with a tranquilizer. It's a fun time. But eventually the old lady in the wheelchair who owns the school or something, remember her? I guess she sleeps in the school, which is weird, but she hears the noise. So now not only are they trying to steal this animal, but Gru and Poppy have some psychotic elder chasing them down with her modded wheelchair. There's a scene where her tires get really big, and I'm convinced that this is a reference to Axel from Twisted Metal. It just kind of looks really similar to me. And at this point, I'll just take any reference to that game that I can get. Please, Sony, make another game for the love of God, play. But after some running around, eventually the gang gets away, easy peasy. Poppy is hyped as hell for having the mascot, and Gru actually kind of bonded with her over some villainy stuff. It's kind of sweet, I won't lie. We skip to the next day now, and Gru is playing tennis with his neighbor. There's an actual story to him doing this, but it all leads to a minion being goofy for a couple minutes and only serves as more padding for the runtime. I know a lot of you won't like that I'm skipping stuff like that in this recap, but not only is it actually impossible to recap an entire movie in like 20 minutes, but it's also my channel, so I'll do what I want. Trust me, I'm keeping all the juicy stuff, so you don't have to worry. So while the tennis is going down, I guess the kids are hanging out together, including Poppy. She's just like part of the squad now randomly, and none of the girls question it. We don't really see them become friends on screen, but I guess they are now. But then the doorbell rings, and turns out it's the old wheelchair lady who I've refused to call by name this entire time. I'm too deep now. This is her name to me. She forcefully enters the house, and like you'd think something bad or evil would happen here, but instead Margot just texts Gru, and then him and Lucy show up almost immediately to check up on them. The kids are completely fine, and the old lady just wants her honey badger back, which like honestly is super valid. If someone stole my dog, I'd probably be really mad too. There is some sort of fight that eventually breaks out, and in the middle of all the chaos, of course, Maxime and his girlfriend show up, and at the exact same time, Gru Jr. randomly strolls outside, making this the second easiest kidnapping in the entire franchise. Also with this, we get our third and final item crossed off our Illumination checklist. Wouldn't be a Despicable Me movie without all three of these bad boys. As if kidnapping the baby wasn't bad enough, once Gru chases and catches up to Maxime, we find out that Gru Jr. has been turned into a roach himself, and he's all into it, I think. I'll just take this as confirmation that Maxime is controlling the cockroaches with his mind, and they aren't helping him willingly. But like I said earlier, they don't play a big part in the movie anyway. It's been like an hour and they haven't showed up anywhere, so maybe Maxime just needs to level up to increase his range or something. I don't know. Valentina falls down in the mech and dies, and that's like the whole character basically. Gru lets Gru Jr. know that he loves him, and of course, because love is the most powerful thing in the entire universe, the baby snaps out of it and starts beating Maxime up. Gru then punches Maxime and makes him fall off the building. I'm playing this whole scene out like it's a little goofy, and honestly, it kind of is, but it is a nice moment when Gru verbally acknowledges his love for his child. His baby shows love back. It's great character development, especially considering where Gru was in the very first movie. The Mega Minions show up, by the way, and kill Maxime Mufasa style. What a great ending. The whole family is together in the end. Everyone is safe. Gru starts to cry because he's a dad. Gru Jr. says his first words, that being Dada. The family returns back home, and we see Dr. Nefario for like 5 seconds.
All right, there you go.
Oh, he's in this movie. Bro just shows up out of nowhere.
Bye then.
Bye!
All right, back in the dungeon I go. See you in 3 months. Everyone is super happy, and I honestly consider the movie pretty much done at this point, but I need to mention what happens after because people will get mad if I don't. After the world is saved, Gru visits Maxime in prison where the two argue about the talent show all those years ago. They decide to have a rematch live in prison for some reason. So we have this whole 2-minute long musical number where the two are singing together. It's kind of weird. Like, why don't they want to kill each other? I don't get it. The coolest part though is that all the previous villains from the older movies are also in this scene. They're all in prison now. We see Vector, Vector's dad, El Macho, Baltazar, Scarlet, the Vicious Six. It's very similar to what Kung Fu Panda 4 did, to be honest. Like, very, very similar. Did they just copy that movie? It's been a while, so some of these people have actually aged quite a bit, but probably should have aged a little more. This franchise has never cared about being logical with the age of its characters, to be fair. We see Vector flossing at one point, and that's kind of it. And that was Despicable Me 4. Was it really that bad? Listen, I get where people are coming from with this one. It's an already short movie with many scenes that are just there to extend the runtime. A lot of stuff doesn't really matter, which gives off the impression that this was just one giant cash grab. I don't know anything about that specifically, but I will agree that this is probably one of the weaker ones in the entire franchise. I know some people get mad by that, but I don't know, it's my opinion, dude. I also believe that in general, this movie is kind of a good time. It's not offensive or anything. You can watch it and still laugh at a couple things. It's just not much of a continuation for the franchise. this. Like they did add the baby in there, which was random. It's just like really short and kind of weird. Hey, Illumination, have you heard of TikTok, by the way? You can upload all your short videos on there. You don't have to make a movie every time. I might seem a little harsh, but it's just kind of what I do when I make these videos. I thought it was a cool movie, honestly. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Become a member for only $1. All members get their usernames on screen at the end of all my videos. Thank you to all my current members. You guys are the best, and your support is the reason I can feel confident in what I do. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you all for 50,000 subscribers. I'll make a community post regarding that sometime soon. Once again, thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to check out the description for more information and special offers. Paula Abdul scores this one a solid 1,000 roaches out of 5. And yeah, thanks for watching.